When defining your business goals, one question you'll need to ask yourself is, who is my target audience? Is my product for businesses or for general consumers? If it's a business application you're building, often what you're attempting to do is to automate a series of manual tasks that a business user undertakes as part of their day-to-day functions. So to get a better idea of what they need, do your research, interview potential users of your system, and ask questions such as, what is your day-to-day role? What functions do you perform? What other functions are present? How do these functions interact? How does it compare with other experiences? What technology and systems do you use? And what other systems are also used as part of your job? Now, when it comes to consumers, you ask a different set of questions. You ask them, what makes a good experience? What makes a good video streaming experience? What makes a good flight booking experience? What makes a good e-commerce experience? Another question you might ask is, when you go to a particular site, where do you go first? And why do you go there in particular? What would you put off doing when you got there? And why? How often do you visit the application? How often do you use it? What do you most use it for? What do you do before or after using the product? When it comes to purchasing something online, B2C customers behave differently from B2B. Often with B2C, it's a simple emotional transaction. They don't generally visit the site that often. It can be an impulse buy. Often there isn't much process behind the purchase. When it comes to B2B purchases, much more thought goes into the purchase. For example, a need may be recognized, something that isn't available in the company at the moment. We then determine the product specifics. We do some research, select a product, buy that product, also evaluate the product over time to determine whether you'll continue using that product. Now let's talk about the emotional triggers. The emotional triggers for B2C are a feeling that the product or service gives the consumer, which leads them to complete a purchase. Branding is a huge factor. But the emotional triggers behind B2B purchases are risk aversion, fear of getting it wrong, using the company budget to buy something that potentially may not work in the long run, having committed to it. The pricing models vary between B2B and B2C. For B2C, the pricing is generally transparent. All users are charged the same price, unless there's discount codes available, and shipping fees are often expected. Upselling and cross-selling is common. But with B2B, it's a lot more complex. The pricing can differ depending on the needs of the client. And often, the sites don't list all costs associated with the product or the services. That's usually ascertained via follow-on phone call. They have distinct plans, and there's often additional fees for implementation and maintenance charges. In the B2C space, you're often only interacting with one person. And in general, that person doesn't need to justify their purchasing decision. And there's often very little forward planning. The internet thrives on impulse buying. With B2B, it's different. There's almost always a team of people behind the purchaser. There's a set of procedures to be followed. There's a complex decision-making process. And research can often begin months before a purchase takes place. B2C product considerations? You've got to make sure that the content strategy is up to par. It has to be catchy and compelling. Catchy and compelling headlines are needed. Don't overload the website with content. Minimal content and large images will work. As you can see there on the left-hand side, there's an Apple site. Very little content, very, very strong, emotive imagery, and just a logo. The design must be unique and stand out amongst the competition because the B2C space is crowded with competitors. The journey between a user clicking buy now and actually making a payment must have a minimal amount of steps. In general, there's a 3-step rule of thumb that applies. And most users will make their purchase on one of their first few visits. So, product considerations for B2B. Purchases almost never happen on the first visit. Lead nurturing is important. The content should include compatibility and integration information to assure the prospective customer. Users on the B2B site are looking for as much information as possible. As we mentioned, unique design is less important. They should have lots of call to actions, CTA points, live chat, phone, text, email, everything to create a sense of reliability and assurance. You should also supply various types of content, video tutorials, white papers to show that you're a thought leader and authority in this area, blogs, testimonials, frequently asked questions, and webinars.